Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Well, Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. Simon tells us of how COVID pushed his natural entrepreneurial mindset to come out. He now grabs opportunities with both hands and it's really paying off. Morning, Simon. Thanks for joining us at the Boatbuilding News podcast. It's really great to speak to you and about your business. Let's start with an introduction. Tell me about yourself and the role you play in your business.
Good morning. Great to be here. Yeah, so my name's Simon Boulding. I am the managing director of a couple of different businesses. One is Prometheus Sailing, which is also linked in with Sunsail UK, which I'll explain about in a second. And the other is Prometheus Water Sports, which links in with Yellow V as well. So Prometheus Sailing is one of the largest charter companies in the UK, a large fleet of matched boats operating out of Port Solent, and we're Sunsail's partner and franchise holder within the UK, so linked in with one of the biggest sailing companies in the world, which is a great relationship to have. And also we have Prometheus Water Sports, which is the UK importer and distributor of Yellow V paddleboards and kayaks, which is a new development for us and a fun and exciting development as well.
Sure. So Prometheus Sailing, let's go right back to the beginning. How was that born?
Okay, well, I've been involved in the charter industry for about 20 years. Working for some charter companies in the Hamble initially. I then went over to take up the role of running the UK operation for Sunsail about 8 years ago. Sunsail purchased a new fleet of boats, which arrived in 2020, almost pretty much 24 hours before we went into full COVID lockdown. So that was a very strange period to have all these lovely new boats arrive, still wrapped up straight off the back of the lorries, the delivery lorries. And then we just had to walk away and leave them in the yard, all wrapped up still, and go into lockdown. So
a surreal 24 hours.
It was very, very strange. And then, furloughing most of the team, etc., and went into this very strange period, as the whole world did, of having to deal with COVID and lockdowns. We then eventually got the go-ahead to start commissioning the boats. And then during this process, I was approached by Sunsail with an opportunity to actually buy the fleet of boats and do a management buyout of the business, which, again, it was a strange occurrence, unexpected. But I think COVID has given quite a lot of, as well as being quite hard for a lot of people, I think COVID's given a lot of people some quite exciting opportunities, and this was certainly an exciting opportunity for me, which I was very keen to do and take advantage of that. So from that opportunity, the business Prometheus Sailing was born, named after a Greek god, which I'm a bit into.
I was going to ask where that came from.
I'm a bit of a fan of Greek mythology from when I was a student. So I often name projects after Greek gods. My preferred business name probably would have been something related to Jason and the Argonauts and Argo, but somebody else had already claimed that business name.
That's true.
Down in Swanwick Marina, there's already an Argo. So I went for Prometheus, also a bit of a science fiction fan, so linked in with a very good science fiction film as well. So Prometheus was born as a business and became the vehicle to purchase the whole fleet of yachts from Sunsail. We 2P transferred over the entire team as well, and took over the entire client base and order book for the business as well. Took a little bit of time to get that deal put together. It was fairly complicated with all those different elements to put into place. But the deal then completed in July of 2021, last year. So we've been going for about 15 months now. And it was a fantastic opportunity and a really exciting deal to put together.
Quite risky though with the timing of COVID.
Yes, I did have several sleepless nights. I have to admit, I did find myself literally laying awake at night with my wife asleep next to me, just like staring at the ceiling, wondering, am I doing the right thing? Because this was in 2020 when the conversations first started happening, and we were literally in the full flow of COVID. And I'm just thinking, well, what happens?
Well, it was so unknown, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So unknown. We didn't know how it was going to end, did we? You know?
Completely unknown quantities, a bit of a gamble, and several sleepless nights. But then what actually became clear is that as we started coming out the back end of COVID and the deal was coming into completion as well, the good news was that as all the final COVID restrictions got lifted, it coincided with the deal being completed. And we absolutely hit the ground running. We bought the business at 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon. We were very well supported by Sunsail, but also by institutions like the RYA, who literally allowed us to carry the business straight on from like 5 o'clock to 1 minute past 5. They were ready to switch it all over for us. And we went into July absolutely manic, flat out with bookings. We were sold out for Cows Week the next week after we took over the business. We had flotillas going on to take advantage of the UK staycation market.
Yeah.
Loads of people doing sailing courses, and we've been flat out ever since. So the sleepless nights in the gamble paid off. And
so it was at that point when you look back and you thought this was worth it.
Yes, yeah. Because at that point, I looked back and thought, "What an inspired decision."
The question is, knowing what you know now, would you have gone and done it all again through all the stress and everything?
Absolutely, yes. Even though it was a really stressful period of my life, as my family and friends will vouch for, it's absolutely been worth it, because I think the opportunity to buy the business, buy the yachts, and set it up as myself and my business partners wanted to set it up, and to be able to make the decisions yourself, choose your own suppliers, manage your own destiny. I think, running your own business has a lot of advantages, and running your business now with the opportunities that are out there, even though there are still challenges going on, there's so many opportunities. It absolutely would do the same thing over again. Yes.
Yeah. So those were the challenges then, but what about right now? Is anything causing you to still have those sleepless nights? What challenges are you facing sort of in the here and now?
Not so much sleepless nights, but there are definitely challenges. Yeah, definitely challenges.
Nothing in comparison, though.
Nothing in comparison that
quite.
causes me to lay awake at night staring at the ceiling. No. I think there are the obvious challenges at the moment, which is we're in a high inflation environment with higher interest rates as well. So I think nothing unique there. I think most businesses are facing the challenges of
across all industries
of their supplies going up in cost. Whether that's for us as a sailing business, it might be spare parts, it might be fuel, it might be catering to provide packed lunches and evening meals for our clients. So lots of challenges there linked into rising costs. It's kind of easy to say, well, let's just put our prices up because everyone's factoring in a price increase. But I think you have to be careful. You can't just across the board just say, well, let's just put our prices up by 10 or 15%, because you've got competitors. Your clients don't have bottomless funds. So you do have to be wary of that. So it is proving to be challenging, just getting that balance of the price we're paying for everything, the price we're charging our customers, etc., etc. So that is a significant challenge, which I don't think is not something that can't be overcome, but it's just something that you need to apply quite a lot of thought process to. And I think a challenge more unique to this industry that we're facing at the moment, and I know other charter companies, other sailing schools, etc., are having the same issues here, is the availability of labour, the availability primarily of qualified skippers and for racing and cruising, and qualified instructors to teach sailing courses. I think some of that's linked into COVID. So
I was going to say, did that have an impact?
Yeah, I think what it did is COVID got a lot of people who are particularly freelance people, such as skippers, but I think also in other industries as well, like sort of chefs and other people. I think a lot of people where they weren't getting a flow of income due to COVID and they were freelance, I think some people took early retirement. I think some people got other jobs and left the industry. might have even have left the country. I think the whole Brexit thing has caused Labour to go overseas as well. So yeah, COVID definitely had a big impact, and it meant a lot of skippers didn't bother revalidating their qualifications, and they sought employment elsewhere or just stopped doing it full stop. So that's a significant problem. So there are not enough skippers, not enough instructors in the marketplace at the moment, and I think the industry as a whole needs to address that. And I and the
100%.
RYA, I think we all need to work together and try and publicise the fact that careers in the marine industry, whether it's full time, part time, or freelance, that there are attractive, enjoyable careers out there. We've certainly just rebalanced the amount we pay for freelance staff. I've just announced a significant increase because I think that the industry is in the process and has to do that. We have to pay people more to make us an attractive industry to work within.
Yeah, I 100% agree
But
with that.
that's not an overnight solution, because
No, it's not.
we need to attract more people into the industry. You need to get more people to go through the whole RWA training process and become cruising instructors, yacht master instructors, to become commercially endorsed yacht masters in general, and first mates as well, who do bow on our boats and need to be able to work with spinnakers, etc. So in the whole, it's a significant challenge for us, for Prometheus, and it's a significant challenge, I think, for the whole industry, as I'm sure you come across, that there is a shortage of good, qualified, professional crew for boats out there.
Yeah, I mean, with my background in the recruitment industry as well, I mean, we obviously, we have skills and we have tools that aren't available that we can dip into, but ultimately the people still have to be there. We're not magicians. We can't magic up skilled people if they just don't exist or if they've just left the industry. So apart from, sometimes as well, that's not an overnight. It's not an overnight process to attract people back into a whole industry. But if we don't start to make movements towards that now, as an industry coming together to talk about what it is that attracts people back into the industry after they've left, or attracts people into industry from other industries. And I don't think it's as simple as paying more. I think COVID taught us a lesson that money isn't always everyone's motivator. People who look at work-life balance a lot more carefully now. So I don't think it's as simple or as quick as, hey, let's put up the industry price, the industry labor costs, and in the industry, what we're paying these freelance guys, these skilled labor. We could do that overnight, and it would still take time to attract people in the industry. But ultimately, it's not even as simple as just doing that. It's a whole culture shift, isn't it, that probably needs to be addressed industry-wide.
Definitely, yeah. If we put a consolidated effort into it now, it's not really going to pay dividends until probably 2024, 2025. So we need a long-term solution to a very immediate problem. In the short term, you can put wages up, but that doesn't suddenly attract more people into the industry because they've got to have experience and qualifications. So
and it takes that time,
exactly. Yes, you don't become an instructor overnight. You need a lot of experience. You need the appropriate qualifications and opportunities. But I think it's the marine industry and the sailing industry is a really attractive and fun industry to be part of, and we do have quite a lot of our existing professional skippers and first mates, particularly the skippers. Often they are people who might be slightly older. Some of them, they might have had a career in the Navy or the police force or places like that, or they might have their own business and do other freelance work, or have their own business. And some people are doing it as almost like a second job. Or a job that goes alongside a sort of forces pension or something like that, and these people, it's a really enjoyable occupation for them and really rewarding as well. Teaching people how to sail, as well as sailing itself being enjoyable. The reward and the fun of taking a family out and teaching them how to sail so that they can then enjoy sailing going forwards and go on sailing holidays. They might even then go and buy their own boat, which is of benefit to the rest of the sailing and marine industry. It is a good, fun, rewarding job to do, and we need to.
Yeah, it's more than a job, isn't it? People do it when they've got a passion for sailing, because it's people who are sailing for enjoyment in their spare time as well, being able to do that as a career and as a job. So it's so much more than that. Do you know what I mean? People are putting their real passion, into earning
Yeah,
money, aren't they?
exactly. And people have said to me, comments, this is, it's almost not like a job. It's my passion, and I'm getting paid for doing my passion. So I think part
Yeah.
of it is we need to just get the message out there to people who are already sailors, who haven't maybe considered doing skippering work and first mating work. It could be their spare time, could be as a change of career, etc., etc. And getting that message out to them, that sailing is a fun, rewarding opportunity and career for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you say, it could be an education piece of even just making it completely transparent what that career pathway looks like from right from starting. If you've got, youngsters who grew up with a sailing background from a sailing family and are spending their weekends on the water, actually being able to educate them into turn this into a career. And this is the transparency of it. These are the stepping stones, and this is ultimately where you could take this. So it's probably an education piece, right from going into sailing schools and actually educating the kids sailing, the kids sailing tuition, their clubs, and actually talking to them about what this could look
Yeah,
like as a
definitely. And
career.
actually, I talked about some of our older skippers. I was doing a disservice to some of our younger skippers as well. So you've made a very important point there. We have some fantastic younger skippers and instructors who, one of our guys is 19 years old. He's got an old head on young shoulders, and he was the lead skipper on our flotilla. He's actually doing his cruising instructor with us in a couple of weeks' time. And he's just started his first year at university, just finished Freshers Week, and he's coming back to do his cruising instructor. And we've got another guy that's been doing a marine surveying course at Southampton University. And these guys actually, it allows them to mature quite quickly, and they become, they do it as a holiday job sometimes, but they meet really interesting people on our boats. And several of our staff, our professional crew, have had job offers as a result, and gone on to become, marine engineers or software people, and it's good for networking for these young people, and allows
Yeah.
them to mature and become really quite attractive, possible future employees for businesses. I think it brings a lot of experience, a lot of maturity. You're dealing with responsibility. You're responsible for a boat and the crew. It really develops really good communication skills. You're teaching people how to sail. You've got to get the syllabus across. You've got to give them constructive feedback. You've got to be able to work under pressure. So I think for young people as well, sailing, whether it's while you're a student or whether you want to do it as a full-time career, we need to get that message across as well, that it can offer a lot of really, really positive things to you.
So not even like a career sense. You're talking sort of character building as an
Exactly.
individual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's happened on multiple occasions where we have big companies, blue chip companies, doing corporate events with us, and they will get to know the professional crew on their boat, who might only be 18, 19, 20 years old, and they literally are so impressed with them, the way that the sailing has built their character, their communication skills, their leadership skills, problem solving
Oh
skills,
my goodness,
etc. And they
100%.
literally get job offers on the course of a 2-day regatta. They walk away with a job
Yeah.
offer from multinational blue chip businesses.
Well, it's a bit like, like if I put my recruitment hat on and I think about the amount of CVs that I view, and people put in their, their hobbies and interests, quite flippantly sometimes, oh, I'm involved in football and I'm involved in hockey. And for me, I always look and I think, brilliant, team sport, somebody, you've obviously built your resilience up, you've built your leadership skills up, you've built your communication up, you've built your working against, with a team when things are against you, and actually something that might just seem like a hobby to employers, to people in the recruitment industry, we see so much more than just what you've put in your hobbies and interests part of your CV. And actually, sometimes it's a lot more important, especially if you're entering the industry, to actually focus on something like that and how those skills could be transferred to the workplace, rather than just, leaving it at the end of your CV under your hobbies and interests. Ultimately there should be, if you've got a young sailor who's looking to take his first career steps, focus on what you've been doing, growing up. If it is sailing, how that's transferred and how that's built you as a character, and how that could be transferred to make you an absolute, an exceptional
Definitely.
employee.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I've always said that sailing is a great team building activity for our clients. But I think, as you've said, if you have engaged in sailing as a hobby or as a holiday job or whatever, having that on your CV is a really positive thing. So I think sailing has so many positive attributes that are directly applicable to employment. Yeah.
Completely agree. So looking forward, what's the plan for Prometheus? What does next year look like for you guys?
Next year is looking exciting. I think we've had last year and this year have been very busy and very exciting. We've had continued good levels of business for things like our UK flotilla products and our sailing school products. This year really saw the corporates coming back out into the marketplace, doing team building, corporate regattas, corporate hospitality, things of that nature. But I think next year is going to be even busier because there was still some nervousness even this year, coming back to COVID, about doing
100%.
large group events and networking and things of that nature. So we've already got old events that haven't happened since COVID relaunching for the first time next year. We're working on some exciting new regattas as well. We're working on a regatta for the hotel sector that we hope to launch within the next couple of weeks. We're working with several new companies in the IT sector as well. We've got a really exciting new regatta which is going to be taking place next year, which is within the renewable energy sector, which is as I think everybody knows, there's a lot of investment, a lot of growth within the renewable energy sector, and what better event for a wind generating company to do than a sailing event, that fits extremely
so well.
The environmental credentials of wind power and sailing are quite similar. Obviously, the physics behind it are quite similar. You often get people that like sailing that are working within these the wind generation companies. So we're working with a business organisation called Renewable UK. We were hoping to have the event as a 6-boat event, sort of minimum, to get it off the ground. We've actually got 20 teams signed up to the event, which is really substantial new event. Generating employment business within the industry, and that's going to be a fantastic event. And there are other wind power companies that are working with us and have done events like the Little Britain Construction Challenge, which is a great event for the property and construction sector. That's actually has attracted some big players, such as Wood Thilsted, for example, into that regatta as well. So lots of exciting new events taking place next year, and returning events where the companies are now confident enough to get corporate events and networking events and team building events back into the diary. So that's really exciting. We've just in the process of finishing purchasing a first 40 yacht, which is slightly different to our existing yachts, but that's going to give us an interesting opportunity to offer a slightly different type of sailing with our existing yachts, which are performance cruisers. Obviously, a first 40 is a bit racier, so that's going to open up new opportunities for our clients and for us as a business, which is exciting.
And attract different clients, I guess, as well, because it offers something a little bit different.
Because we don't currently offer offshore sailing. Everything we do is things such as Round the Island Race and Cows Week and team building and sailing school and things of that nature. So it does open up the possibilities of Rorke races and fastnet campaigns and things like that, which is obviously exciting, challenging type of sailing for people that are that like the offshore sailing side of things. And then the really exciting thing that's going to be happening next year for us, this will be at the back end of next year, so it will be sailing activities for 2024. but it will all start in
Oh, okay.
2023, at the back end of 2023, is that we have ordered 3 more boats for our fleet. So that's 3 more Geno 410s to join our fleet of 12 boats.
Amazing.
So it will take us up to having a fleet of 15 boats. That will be the largest match fleet of boats in the UK, and pretty much the biggest charter operator in the UK. These are fantastic boats that proved to be really popular with our clients.
Yeah.
And to have, to have the confidence in the industry, the confidence in our business, for myself and my business partners to go to Group Beneteau, and to actually be the only charter company in the UK that is putting a significant investment into new boats into the UK. To do that is big news for the industry, big news for us, and really exciting times for us to be expanding the size of our fleet by 25% for the end of next year, ready for 2024.
Yeah, it's quite a big jump. But I mean, I was looking at that, and you can look at it two ways, I guess, because it's quite a big jump. You must have the confidence, and like you say, in the business model and the industry, because it's quite a risk to take quite a big jump. But also, I suppose, on the other hand, it decreases your risk as a business a little bit, because I guess you've got a little bit more control if you own the boats rather than relying on
Yes,
charter owners.
that is a very good point. Yes, so when we have our larger events, sometimes we are reliant on bringing in additional boats from private owners or other charter companies. So yes, again, in the same way of taking over the business allowed us to be masters of our own destiny, expanding the fleet and having a bigger fleet of boats also allows us to have more control over our business, more control over that side of things, which is great. And I think 15 boats for us is probably getting close to the sweet spot of the size of fleet we need for this business. Not ruling out further purchases of boats in the future, but I think as it stands at the moment, I think that's probably a pretty good size fleet for us. We would still need to bring in additional boats because we have some regattas that go above 30 boats in size. So we will still need to work with other parties on that front. But yes, a great opportunity to develop our business, to have more control over our own business, and very exciting going forward.
But then I guess that circles right back to what we were saying. You have more boats, you need more labour.
Exactly.
So it's chicken and egg, isn't it? It's like, or catch-22, I suppose they call it. You want to grow, but you're being held back by all these challenges. But that's being a business owner for you.
Yes.
I guess.
So I'm not saying I planned it this way, because it was more to do with the availability of the build slots with Group Beneteau as to why we're having to wait until the end of 2023 to get the new boats. But it does give us time to address that issue. So yes, it's a 25% expansion of the fleet, but it also means it's a 25% expansion of the number of skippers and first mates we need, going back to this challenge we were discussing a few minutes ago. So yes, by 2024, we do need to make considerable progress in attracting new people into the industry. Yeah, otherwise we'll have boats sitting there with nobody to sail them, which won't be great.
No, that's no good for anyone. So let's talk a bit more detail about the other side of the business. So the paddleboards. Tell us about this.
So that again was an opportunity which presented itself to us. This one wasn't COVID related. It was the fact that our clients, a fairly significant part of our business is offering the boats for bareboat charter for things like family holidays and UK flotillas and things of that nature. And what our clients started saying to us when they were booking the boats was, do you have a paddleboard we can hire so that we can do paddleboarding while we're on charter, so that we don't have to bring our own paddleboards with us, etc. So we listened to the clients, and I listened to my team who were giving me that feedback, and they were saying, "Oh, people are asking about paddleboards now." So it became quite clear that we should start offering paddleboards for rental with the business. Sure. So I put a post on LinkedIn asking for recommendations of a good quality brand of paddleboards that I could use to hire out to our clients. A contact of mine, a guy called David, working at Savvy Navy, one of our business partners, introduced me to this company which is owned by Vetus, so a big player, and they have this brand of paddleboards and kayaks and other things as well. They do inflatable dinghies and quite a wide range of products. But the products of interest to me was specifically the paddleboards and the kayaks. So I had an introduction made to the guys. And again, the initial conversation was just about buying some paddleboards to rent out. I was impressed by the quality of the products. We had samples sent over to us. We looked at the reviews, and it was clear that with the backing of a major multinational marine business behind them, such as Vetus, there was the research and development capability there. There was the sourcing capability for manufacturing.
Yeah.
So it became clear that these were a great quality product to offer as rental boards for our clients. But then during the course of the conversation, I was talking to the business, to the Yellow V guys, about, well, how do people buy these paddleboards in the UK? And they had a .com website, and that was the only way that a customer could buy one, and they'd have to buy it from the .com website. And then with the new challenges faced by Brexit, they would then have to get it imported and pay the import duties and wait for it to clear customs, etc. And
which just people wouldn't do, because you could just buy from someone else. Do you know what I mean? They just wouldn't.
I mean, I myself bought 2 paddle boards in the past, and one was pre-Brexit from a French website, which was quite straightforward. And then I bought another paddle board from the same business, and it was an absolute nightmare the second time, because you had to pay all these import duties and there were delays, etc. So the conversation developed, and it became clear that there was an opportunity to represent this brand in the UK. One thing led to another, and within a few weeks, we'd actually signed the distributor agreement to actually start importing the paddleboards and kayaks into the UK, and actually have a base, a representative for their brand in the UK, so that the clients wouldn't have to worry about import duties, wouldn't have to worry about delays of getting things shipped in. So we have now launched the yellowv.co.uk website, so that and I'm now thoroughly converted to the Yellow V product. They're a really cool design, really distinctive black and yellow design, but more importantly, a really good quality product. We've taken it out. We're still in the early stages of the business, so we are in the process of having reviews carried out on the boards and kayaks. And the good news is that the people that reviewed them, none of the reviews have been published yet. I think they're about to be published, but the people who have reviewed them really like the product. And so we know that we've made the right decision to team up with Vetus and Yellow V, and we've got a great quality product. We've got some out there. We have made some early sales of the product and got really good feedback about them, and really optimistic about when we go into next year. We're going to be exhibiting at the RYA Dinghy Show in February up at Farnborough. Nice. There's a whole paddle sports section within the dinghy show, so we'll be there profiling Yellow V at the RYA Dinghy Show, and very optimistic again that next summer you'll see a lot more distinctive black and Yellow V SUPs and kayaks out on the water around the country. Yeah.
Well, I live right on the right in Walsall, right on the River Hamble. So I'll be, we see paddleboards all day, every day. So I'll be looking out for them because, like I say, they're really distinctive. But I think with that situation, I think that's just such a testament to your sort of entrepreneurial mindset, because, quite casually you said, within a few minutes we were talking about, setting up a business. But I think usually people just buy a paddleboard. They think, hey, I've got a great paddleboard, and then they walk away from the conversation. Whereas you must naturally have quite an opportunistic mindset where you think there's a business opportunity here. And I don't think that comes natural to the majority of people. So, you're kind of making your own opportunities in this situation, aren't you, really?
I think so, yes. And I think again, I think it's a positive of COVID, actually, is that I think pre-COVID I had a sort of entrepreneurial spirit there, hidden away in the background a bit, maybe, that I was probably just a little bit too comfortable doing what I was doing, working for a major international sailing company. But what COVID has done is presented that initial opportunity and really shown me that you should, have faith in your own entrepreneurial spirit and seize these opportunities that get presented to you. So I think the opportunity with Prometheus was a very clear situation of, you've got a fantastic opportunity, grab it with both hands. And then since that, it then makes you realise that there are other opportunities out there, and
it's giving you the confidence.
So sometimes you go looking for the opportunity, sometimes the opportunity comes looking for you. But whichever way round it is, you need to just have the faith and just take those either small or large leaps of faith and take advantage of these opportunities and grab hold of them, because it's a time in the world and a time in this particular industry where opportunities are out there, and you just got to go for them. So yeah.
The successful people that I speak to, in my business, and what I do with this podcasting, I talk to successful people all the time, and the one common theme that seems to run through everyone is the way they view the COVID era. That 18 months where it seemed pretty bleak for a lot of people. The people that have come out of this and are now, I class successful people and are doing really, really great, exciting things, are the people that actually, when they look back on COVID, they look back at the opportunities it threw up to them instead of, the excuses that it allowed them. It's a different way of looking at it. And I think you either go one way or the other when you're hit with something so major like that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not just opportunities such as being able to start up a new paddleboard brand in the UK. It's also just opportunities to create better working environments for your colleagues and yourself and your family, and it's partly linked in with the flexibility of being able to make those decisions if you run your own business. But I now run the business taking into account more people's family lives and allowing people, having it as standard that we're now running a hybrid business where I think it was an old-fashioned way of looking at things pre-COVID, that people had to be in the office even though they could work from home. And I now have the opportunity, particularly with my sales guys and event management guys, that we now have maybe 50% of the time in the office during the summer and 50% of the time working from home, because the technology's there, and you have to put your faith in your employees. If you've employed the right people, that they're going to still do what needs to be done.
Exactly.
And in many situations, I think people actually work more effectively if you give them responsibility and the opportunity and the time to work from home and have a bit more time with their families, etc., and a better quality of life in that respect.
Well, and you just gain all those bonus hours for commuting, and and if you think about actually the message that sailing gives, and like you say, partnering with Renewable UK, and then you'd be asking your employees to get on the road in their cars, probably sometimes not electric, and commute all those hours as well. It doesn't even fit from a sustainable mindset point of view, does it? But also, I think you're right. If you can't get the same productivity and the same success rate from your employees wherever they are, the question you probably need to ask yourself is not why are they not doing this? It's why are they in my business? I've not employed, or I've not cultivated the right culture that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the reasons why I was really happy to do the management buyout and take over the business and to transfer the team across, was because I've got had a great team in place when it was part of owned by Sunsail, and it's the same great team in place. And actually, funnily enough, we've re-recruited a couple of marine technicians who had gone off and done other things and have now come back to us, which is a great thing to be able to do, to welcome people back into the business who have gone away and maybe checked out opportunities with other businesses, or one guy had left the country and then had come back. So we welcomed some great talent back into the business. So I think COVID's created entrepreneurial opportunities, but it's also created opportunities for either existing or new businesses to do business in a different way, and to create a better working environment for their staff, a better way of doing things in general, and that there's environmental benefits to that as well, unclogging the roads, having less cars on the road, etc., etc. But again, I think that's another positive development.
Yeah, completely. So, of everything we've spoken about, and we've spoken about some, real major milestones in your business, but is there one sort of standout moment where you think, oh, do you know what? I'm actually really proud of that. And it doesn't even have to be the most, major thing as the company starting. Sometimes it's the smallest things that make somebody the proudest. So, if you've got one thing that really sticks in your mind,
I think probably the thing that sticks in my mind was the day that the deal was done, because it had taken, it was quite a complicated deal to put together, lots of different elements, including financing, GDPR, 2P transfers, all sorts of different elements that combine together to make it a fairly complicated deal to put into place. And as I said before, the deal was completed at 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon in July.
so it must stick in your head because you've got the time and everything, haven't you?
Exactly, and it sticks in my mind as well because at 7 p.m. that evening we started a UK-based flotilla. So we had a whole load of clients arriving who were looking forward to a UK staycation. A lot of them were families, and I took the opportunity to actually be the flotilla host on that flotilla. So I was like the first mate on the flotilla, assisting the lead skipper, and took my family on the flotilla as well because we've got these lovely 41-foot performance cruisers that have large spacious cabins, etc. So why not take your family during the school holidays with you on this? While I was working, it became a very much a working holiday. And it was a case of the next day on Saturday, we were in Cowes Yacht Haven with the flotilla. I was pouring gin and tonics for our guests, and the kids were helping me get the ice from the supermarket and do the gin and tonics on the pontoon in Cowes Yacht Haven for all the clients. Actually speaking directly face to face with my new clients who are now part of my business. And that was a really rewarding moment and a nice moment to actually be directly interfacing with your clients less than 24 hours after buying the business, having a G&T with them, with your family with you. That was a really, really nice moment, and a real sort of highlight of the whole sort
of sense of achievement.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no better feeling, is there, than sort of sitting there and thinking, I've just achieved something. It's just you can't put into words sometimes that feeling. I mean, I live for it. It's like finishing a running race or winning a hockey match. That feeling is just second to none.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my business partners, Tim, was actually with me on that flotilla as well. So again, it was sitting down with one of my business partners, having a G&T, and we did it. The deal's complete.
Yeah.
We're here. We're on a yacht that we own, that our business now owns, and we're with our clients and sitting in sunny Cowes Yacht Haven on the deck having a drink. That was a pretty nice moment. Yeah.
Oh, you're making me smile just talking about it. Awesome. Okay, so the fun part of the podcast, a little quick round of quick fire would you rather. Probably start quite safe. So, and I probably know the answer to the first one, actually, just based on our conversation we've just had. But would you rather a high-risk project with no guarantees but a huge return, or a low-risk, low return but steady guaranteed return?
If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I probably would have gone for the low risk. But nowadays, with my new entrepreneurial found risk-taking spirit, probably go for grab the opportunity, both hands, high risk, high returns, go for it. Yeah.
I wonder if your wife would agree. having to go through the stress with you.
Yeah, we'll have to ask her separately. Yeah.
Okay, would you rather cocktails on a paddleboard or champagne on a sailing yacht?
Oh, that's a tough one because I've got paddleboards and sailing yachts.
I know. They're not meant to be easy.
I'll say, because the paddleboard business is the most recent one, and I actually, if anyone that follows me on social media knows that I did actually go out recently on 2 Yellow V paddleboards with my wife, again on a Friday evening, paddleboarded up the handball and made Aperol spritz on the paddleboards, and then
Where do you think I got these
well, yeah,
questions from?
you've been stalking me, haven't you? You've been stalking me. Followed by dinner at the horse and is it the horse and jockey or coach and horses?
It is. I'm
Yeah,
local, and that's a really great evening. I think for locals around here, that is one of the best evenings you can have in the summer around here, isn't
yeah,
it?
and it was actually I think the River Hamble gets really busy during the day, particularly on weekends. But it was a Friday night about 7 o'clock, and there was hardly anybody else on the Hamble, and we were just floating around on paddleboards, drinking a cocktail, and we'd gone up past up past Manor Farm and up near sort of the Fairthorne of YMCA place up there. We pretty much had the river to ourselves. It was an absolutely beautiful evening to do that. Yeah.
It's brilliant, isn't it? And actually, I know that we're obviously both local and on the river, but how lucky are we to have that right there? It's amazing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes, and other people,
So
people
good.
could have that same thing if they get involved in the marine industry. Let's get that message out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lifestyle, isn't it? It is an absolute lifestyle. Okay, so finish line feelings. Would you rather sailing competition or marathon for that finish line feeling?
Even though I'm a bit unfit and haven't done too much running recently, I think I do have to go to my sort of one of my original sporting loves, which is running. And I have
Yeah.
done 5 marathons and many other running events as well, including a marathon in the Arctic, half marathon in the Arctic Circle a few years
Wow.
ago, and yeah, things like crossing the finish line. The first London Marathon I did with all the support there, crossing the finish line on a big running event is a sense of satisfaction that I find hard for anything else to match, to be honest. So I think the finish line on a big running event for me. Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you. I cried finishing my marathon. I cried. The emotion is just something else, isn't it?
Yeah, I think my first London Marathon when I turned and saw the finish line near the Mole in London, that was an emotional moment. But also on the London
Yeah.
Marathon, one of the bits that really got me was I think it was around Canary Wharf. There was an underpass you went under. Funny enough, an underpass you went under, and there was a steel band or some sort of really incredible band playing, and the music. I think you're obviously a keen runner as well. I think music is quite a big thing when you're running. It can really
Oh
get
my
your emotions
goodness,
going and
yes.
make you literally run faster. And there was this,
Oh, 100%.
the crowd were cheering. There was this wall of music that hit you, and again, that was a really incredible moment and quite an emotional moment as well. So yeah.
It reminds me, I ran the Reading Half Marathon this year, and it was like a party the whole way around. There was just different music following different corners. And I don't know, by the time I'd finished, I don't know what hurt more, my legs or my face from smiling so much the whole way around. I loved it.
Yeah,
But I mean, I hope to run the London Marathon next year, my first one. So I hope that.
oh, definitely go for it. I did the Reading half years ago, actually. I went to university in Reading, so it was like a homecoming going back to my university town as well. And that's a great half marathon, well attended, a good course. But
Oh,
yeah,
the best.
yeah, I would thoroughly recommend anyone doing the London Marathon in particular. I've done a couple of marathons in America, but I don't think any running event I've done is as atmospheric with the landmarks and the support as the London Marathon. Is absolutely incredible. Almost matched only by the half marathon I did in the Arctic Circle in 2020, just before lockdown, actually, up in Norway. In the Arctic Circle, I've just forgotten the name of the town we're in up there.
Oh, is it Tromso?
No, it wasn't Tromso. No,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
somewhere else. But that was fantastic. That we went, the whole family went. My wife and the two kids
Oh,
did a
wow.
5K, and I did the half
Oh,
marathon.
cool.
And it was sub -10. It snowed the whole time, and it was January. It was the winter. So it was dark 24 hours a day because you're up in the Arctic Circle. So you were running during the day, but it was dark, and that was an incredible
Yeah.
experience as well. Actually, yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine. Quite a trek, but I can imagine, yeah, rewarding all the same.
yeah.
Okay, so the last question, which we ask every single guest, what's the one quote that you strive to live by or that inspires you daily?
Funny you say the word Daley because it's actually a quote from Daley Thompson.
Oh, okay.
You might be too young to remember him, maybe not. But I used to compete at county level in the 800 metres when I was a teenager. So I was really
Okay.
into my athletics. And at that time, there was some absolutely legendary athletes out there like Seb Coe and Steve Cram and Daley Thompson, people of that nature. And there's one quote that Daley Thompson made that has always stuck in my mind since my teenage years, which was
Oh, I'm excited.
he trained every single day of the year for the decathlon. And he said on Christmas Day, he trained twice on Christmas Day. And he trained twice on Christmas Day because he knew that his competitors probably didn't train at all on Christmas Day. So if he trained twice and worked twice as hard on Christmas Day, it was like 2 bonus days of training for him, giving him an advantage over his competitors. So that was the quote that has always inspired me in my athletics. But also you can take with you for the rest of your life. Daley Thompson saying, I train on twice on Christmas Day because I knew my competitors weren't training at all. So put that little bit extra in and you get a lot more out.
That links into one of my favourite ones, which is go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It just is absolutely right, isn't it? You've just got to do that little bit extra because you want to be that little bit better.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation, Simon. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to perhaps trying out a paddleboard. If I'm in the market to buy a new one next year, I'm going to be looking up your company for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that. Yeah.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.